With Separatist forces having regained control of Geonosis, one of their crucial manufacturing hubs from before the war, and with the factories on the world being reactivated, it soon became a critical target for Republic forces. As a result, Republic ships mustered for a second invasion of Geonosis. With information gathered by Republic intelligence from Separatist sympathizers within the Senate, the Republic was able to acquire plans for the droid factories that had been rebuilt on that world, including one large factory that was designed to roll out a new breed of Separatist tanks that would be fairly damaging to the Republic war effort. As a result, a massive Republic force was assembled to carry out this invasion. This force consisted of troops from both the 501st Legion and the 212th Attack Battalion, as well as some other units within the 7th Sky Corps and the 41st Elite Corps. Republic forces arrived above the planet in a fleet of Venator-class Star Destroyers, escorting a number of Acclamator-class assault ships, all of which were part of the Open Circle Fleet, one of the Republic Navy's many fleets. When they arrived in orbit, Republic forces found no opposition, no Separatist naval vessels above the planet, and no defenses in orbit, but what they did find, however, was that these Separatist factories had been ray-shielded, making them nearly invincible to orbital bombardment. This also prevented large-scale airstrikes on the site, meaning that Republic forces would have to advance on the site on foot and disable the shield. On top of that, the site was heavily defended, mostly by Geonosian forces, local resistance leaders, and various members of Geonosian factions who had pledged their own troops to this defense. But on top of the large number of Geonosians ready to stand up and defend their home, there were also at least 10 whole garrisons of battle droids. As Republic forces made the descent down to the planet, a number of LAATs dropped from the bottom of the Acclamator-class assault ships and began making their way towards the objective landing zone. This landing zone noted as Point Rain. Heading down the middle would be the 212th Attack Battalion led by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Their goal would simply be to go straight down the middle towards the landing zone. Meanwhile, members of the 501st and 41st would take two flanking positions, with the 501st heading south and approaching the landing zone from the south, and the 41st heading to the north and approaching from the north. The 501st was led by Anakin Skywalker, and the troops of the 41st were under the command of Ki-Adi-Mundi. However, this approach was more disastrous than expected. Republic forces were unable to spare very much air cover, and as a result, only a handful of bombers were sent ahead with the transports. This left them open to flights of Geonosian Nantex-class starfighters that were deployed from various ground installations, and began harassing the landing Republic transports. On top of that, a large number of AAA had been set up near the landing zone, making it nearly impossible for Republic transports to approach. So while a number of the forces from the 212th were able to reach and land at the landing site, the same couldn't be said for the 501st or the 41st, both of which had all of their transports shot down on approach, leaving both teams stranded. The 501st units were significantly worse off than the 41st, with all of the 501st's armored vehicles having been lost, only a handful of infantry units surviving. They began making their way on foot towards the landing zone, planning to regroup with the 212th there. Meanwhile, on the northern side of the battlefield, the 41st was able to land and secure their landing area, and even maintain several of the ATTEs. However, they found that in between them and the landing area was a large ridge. The only way through this ridge would be to make their way through a series of Geonosian hives. These would be fiercely defended by local populations. Things weren't much better for the 212th, who, while they did make it to the landing zone, found themselves open and without very much support, being forced to create a ATTE circle known as the Square. This allowed them to use the heavy armor of the walkers to the best of their advantage, and to use the cannons on the walkers to harass incoming Separatist forces. However, commanding units, most notably Obi-Wan Kenobi, had failed to make it to the landing zone, having crashed just shy of it, and recovery efforts had to be made to bring him back to the main body of the 212th. Back in the south, the 501st was attempting to advance towards the landing zone, but found that a large Separatist fortress blocked their way. Reconnaissance in this area was not quite as thorough as in other areas of the battlefield, and this fortress caught the Republic forces off guard. Luckily, quick thinking on the part of Anakin Skywalker allowed several charges to be placed within the Separatist fortress, and the fortress wall was brought down. After making their way through the fortress wall, Anakin's forces were able to finally make it to the clearing that contained the landing zone, albeit still a ways away. It's around this time that they were able to link up with Ki-Adi-Mundi and the rest of the 41st, who had just finished their brutal slog through the Geonosian hives. This included, by the way, the questionably moral use of flamethrowers. After forces from the 41st were able to link up with the remnants of the 501st, they were able to proceed towards the landing zone, which was now under heavy siege by Separatist forces, who were launching a counterattack in an effort to force Republic forces off of the planet. At this time, the Republic fleet, however, was able to spare some strike craft, and a flight of Y-Wings were able to fly through, doing a close air support pass, taking out a large amount of the Separatist armor that had been harassing them. With the armor clear cleared, and members of the 501st and 41st finally rendezvousing at the landing zone, a secure landing site had been achieved by Republic forces. And as a result, Separatist forces were forced to retreat back behind the ray shield in an effort to defend the shield generator. The next phase of this attack would be an assault on that shield generator, but that's a discussion for another time. If you'd like to learn about how the Separatists managed to regain control of Geonosis after the first battle, I'll leave a link in the upper right-hand corner to my video on that. And if you have any other engagements you'd like to see covered in future episodes of Battle Analysis and added to the archive, you can let me know down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.